closed doors, or even behind iron walls, to feel the need to be set free. You want to liberate your mind, controlling secrets, yet you will find the need to be set free. And the Lord says, captives be free, just come to me. I'll break those chains that hold you down.
Hi everybody, welcome once again to Heroes of Hope. We're here today to be able to bring to you all kinds of different organizations and resources that we're able to share with you in Staten Island. And so we're real excited about the show that we're able to put out. Today we have somebody really awesome that's been doing a great job here in Staten Island and throughout the boroughs actually. And so today we want to give him that platform to be able to share with us some of the resources and understanding of his organization. His name is Stephen Bennett, and he is affiliated with the United Activities Unlimited. And why don't we all just welcome him. Welcome, Stephen, to the show. Thank you for coming out and being a part of what we're doing here at Heroes of Hope and being able to bring to the viewers all this information. And I guess the first thing that people want to find out more about you is where you come from. Tell us more about yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Pastor Joe. It's good to be here. Well, a little bit about myself. I'm a Staten Island resident. I'm originally from Los Angeles, but I'm now a Staten Island resident. I've been working here in the community for a few years, and it's New York City is now definitely my home. I love the city, and I love the community of Staten Island and being a part of the work here. A little bit about me and my history and my background professionally. I'm a therapist. I actually started off my career as an educator. I was a school teacher for several years before I switched gears and went into the behavioral health field. So I used to work with young people as a teacher, and then I moved into working with the adults with serious mental illness and substance use disorders before I moved on to narrowing my focus to working with kids in foster care. So as a therapist, I used to work with kids dealing with a variety of different issues, dealing with being removed from the home, moving around from different settings, and managing all of the challenges that go along with that from a young person's perspective, and trying to help young people find stability and build the skills to for success and to be independent and general wellness and happiness and well-being. So that's more or less my background. Here in Staten Island, I work for UAU, and UAU is an agency that has a wide variety of programs. So we do a lot of different programs that support kids. Mostly, I think most Staten Islanders know us for our network of after-school programs, which is fantastic. But we also have evening center programs to provide kids a place to go into the late hours if their parents need a place for the kids to be supervised and get into good, positive activities. We also have a few community centers and a variety of other different programs that work with students who have dropped out of school and are looking to get back into finishing their GED track and go on to higher education or employment. We also have programs for high school students or college students who are looking to get professional development, internship, and work readiness programs. So UAU is a big agency that has a variety of different programs. Specifically, I am currently director of our prevention programs. So we've got two major prevention programs. One is our drug prevention programs, where we have a team of counselors that works with students. We teach classes. We teach a variety of different curriculum that's based on skill building, helping kids, again, build skills, give them good, current, accurate information that's grade level appropriate to help them understand the negative effects of certain substances when they put it in their body. In the drug prevention focus, but more importantly, we give kids opportunities to build skills that we know are going to set them up for general success. So things like helping them clarify their healthy goals and what they'd like to accomplish with their life. Good effective communication skills, giving them opportunities with public speaking, assertiveness skills. How do you speak up for yourself? How do you refuse an offer for something negative that you know that's going to be bad for you? How to refuse negative peer pressure. Good healthy stress management skills. How does a young person, adults deal with a bunch of stress. Kids deal with stress too.
Yeah.
High school kids, middle school kids, elementary kids. They deal with stress, and it's very important to them and very real to them at their level of development. So we help them develop healthy ways of managing their stress. Good decision making, healthy decision making. How to make choices, evaluate choices that are going to be good and healthy for them and their success, and how to have good, healthy relationships with their peers, with their friends, with adults, and absolutely, I would say, almost most importantly, is good, healthy relationships with their parents. How do they have conversations about sensitive topics, and how do we help families address topics like drug use that are sometimes sensitive and difficult to talk to, and just helping them get that conversation started. So that's one prevention program that I'm in charge of. Another prevention program that we have is our ACS, General Preventive Program. So ACS is the Administration for Children's Services. And ACS in New York City is the agency that is in charge with investigating charges of abuse and neglect. So we work with families to help them address whatever issue is might be putting them at risk of losing their kids to foster care. And we help address and stabilize and strengthen those issues so that we can keep kids in the home and where they should be, and keep the families together and keep the families strong. So that's the general breadth of what I do at the agency.
Oh, sounds like
That's a lot, right?
Sounds like yeah, absolutely. Sounds like you're really busy. But let me ask you a question. What are some of the challenges that stand in the way of being able to, let's say, the prevention part of it? Is family denial, or I hear other agencies say that there's different things that keep them from being effective because of a stigma or because of boundaries that literally limit them from being able to get into the home or get into the whole family unit and things like that.
Sure. I mean, there's never one way that a problem can look. Every family, every individual is unique. Every family is unique in their dynamics and the challenges that they're facing in their life. So there's any number of reasons why a family might have stress or might have problems. So when we talk about drug use and what is a reason that an individual gets into drug use, there's no one picture of it. People are just trying to manage their daily life. They're trying to work towards whatever their goals are, and they're trying to deal with the stressors and issues that they're facing in their life. So I think, especially for someone who works with youth, when it comes to a youth perspective and a youth focus on drug prevention, it's really about helping a young person clarify what it is that they would like to accomplish in their life, clarify their vision of what is balanced wellness, making sure that they're taking good care of themselves physiologically, with getting enough sleep, rest, healthy diet, good hygiene. It all starts with the fundamentals. Yeah. And then what are you doing with your day? Are you engaged academically? Are you participating in school? Are you getting the right supports that you need with your homework? Do you have these sort of supports at home? Academic engagement is an extremely important protective factor against use. Their social development. Are you getting along with your peers well? Are you having good, healthy friendships, hanging out with the crowd that's healthy for you? Your emotional development. Are you getting these sorts of supports and regulating yourself well? So helping young people at whatever age of development. Again, we have prevention programs going as young as kindergarten, and we work with kids with young adults all the way up to age 24. So at a grade level appropriate level, it's not about so much focusing on the drug use. It's about helping kids develop these skills that we know if we're investing in helping young people with empowerment and building their esteem, and we're giving them good, accurate information, we're empowering them to make good choices for themselves at whatever age they're at. And that's something that they're going to carry on into adulthood. So when we're building those skills for success, we're inherently protecting them against substance use. If they're focused on working towards their goals, then they're less likely to need to manage their stress by experimenting with drugs, or if they are in their situation where they're with their peers or they're with their friends and socializing, and someone's passing around some alcohol, or someone's passing around cigarettes, or someone's passing around pills, or someone's passing around something that's not healthy for themselves, that young person can say, hey, thanks but no thanks, I'm not interested in that. I have the empowerment and the esteem to know that that's not what I want to do, and I can resist those peer pressures. And that all comes from esteem and empowerment. So from a youth perspective, that's the focus of my work, is trying to help kids have those skills and those insights and the empowerment to make those decisions for themselves. So at a family level, it can be complicated.
Yeah.
You know, as we become adults, we become more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
We have more stresses and pressures in our life, and we develop more defenses. We develop more hang-ups, and more baggage along the way.
More egos and everything else.
Sure. So, you know, as adults, we try to manage our daily life stresses and pressures as much as possible. And the fortunate thing here in Staten Island, we have a lot of great providers that work with adults in counseling and therapy, in treatment, and in recovery supports. I know you have some of our other great Staten Island providers on this show, and I know you're a member of our coalition of providers, so you know that there's a great network of professionals doing a lot of great work. And what I do is just try to contribute on my end of the spectrum, which is, you know, working with the kids. And
like I always say, this is a puzzle, and everybody brings their piece to that puzzle, and we create this big picture that is a beautiful picture if we're doing it together. When there's missing pieces, it's incomplete, and it's beautiful to be a part of what we're doing.
yeah, it's necessary.
Children or young people, how do they get involved with your organization? How would they, do they just walk in the office? Do they go to school, a referral? How does that work?
Sure, that's a great question. There's like I said, UAU has a lot of great programs. So we have, I mean, right now during the school year, we have at least 20, we have somewhere between maybe 25-ish different after-school programs going on around the island, elementary programs, middle school, and high school programs. So if anyone's ever interested in finding out more about what UAU does, I would encourage them to come check out my website. My program website is uauprevention.org. That's uauprevention.org. And our agency has a website that's unitedactivities.org. So if you're interested in getting your child into one of our after-school programs, or one of our community centers, or into, if you want to find out more about the different programs we have, check out the website. You can give us a call at our office, and that's 718-987-8111 to find out more information about a program that might be in your area or fit for your child's age or what they're trying to do.
Yeah. This show, I'm so excited about it because it sets a platform for all these different organizations, and everybody, like we said, deal with it in a different way. And what you do in reference to working with our younger generation is tremendous. And we're not only proud of what you do and what your organization does, but we're also privileged to be working together because it has to be hit from every angle, and so it's a tremendous privilege to be able to do that. But when it comes to this drug epidemic that's taking place specifically here in Staten Island, I also know you have your thoughts concerning what you see concerning this drug epidemic. But then also, being part of the committee also there at TISA, you have been asked to take one of the chairs with the board and be a part of TISA's organization. So why don't you share with us more about TISA and the challenges that are ahead of you and what you see and this whole epidemic that's going on. It's a bigger picture than just what you're working on, I know, but it seems like you're being drawn into a bigger field now.
Yeah, that's correct. Like I said, what I love about Staten Island is I call it it's a big small town. We got about 500,000 people here, and it's a big town, but in a lot of ways it operates like a small town in the relationships. It's really, there's a lot of supports in the community, and you can really rally support and you can get things accomplished quickly when you have good relationships and you call on the right people. So the coalition that we belong to, TISA, Tackling Youth Substance Abuse, like you'd mentioned, it's our coalition of local providers that includes community-based organizations like mine, nonprofits like mine. We also have medical facilities. We have treatment facilities. We have support networks supporting people in recovery. We have the faith-based organizations. And we have our elected officials with our councilman and our senator, and we even have support from Borough Hall, which is really fantastic. We have educators, we have the Department of Education, and it takes all of us to be able to come together and focus on a common goal. So like you said, recently I was elected vice chairman of the coalition. The reason why we're so effective is because we have leadership that is genuinely invested, that's authentic, and is passionate about the work that we do. And we have leadership that's been doing this work for some time, leading the grassroots effort. So you need people who are educated and understand the issue from a prevention and treatment science, understands the models, understands the importance of how to build the capacity in the community, which means any one of our agencies can do great work. Church can do great work in supporting people. An after-school program can do great work in providing good opportunities for kids. A hospital can do great work in treating people. But together, the culmination of our efforts is always going to be more than any one of us could do alone, any one person or any one agency. But what's great about Staten Island is when you get leadership from each one of these different sectors and each one of these different organizations to come together and sit at a table. In our case at TISA, we have leadership from a big variety of the big important players here in Staten Island. And when we're able to sit at a table and meet so regularly and so frequently and have such good open communication, we're able to get so much more done and get it done more quickly. Things that might require move a lot slower in a different setting, in a different city, in a different structure. We're able to get things done relatively quickly. We're able to identify where the need is, and we're able to say, hey, YMCA, you're able to provide this sort of service and they need it here. Can you go there, and how can we help you with that? How can Pastor Joe and his organization that he represents with his team of evangelicals, how can we get in and support? What's going on at the hospitals? What's happening in the emergency rooms? What's going on with in the district attorney's office? What kind of issues are they seeing with the police? What are they seeing on the streets? And how are we addressing that from a law enforcement perspective? And how that way we can all see how we fit in the puzzle. That way we're not all taking stabs in the dark at trying to do some good. A more coordinated effort just sees better results, period. And we can all support each other in what we're doing. One of the best things about when I hear you talk at our meetings, Pastor Joe, is you represent a large portion of the community who feels the problem that's going on in Staten Island. You understand the epidemic and how it's affecting people's lives. People are losing family members and losing friends and losing people that are close to them. And people want to help. They want to help, but they don't know how. So you might be in the community and you say, I want to get involved. Why isn't anyone doing anything to help? It doesn't seem like anyone's doing anything. Well, you don't know if you're not plugged in, and you hear there's lots of great work going on in Staten Island. There's lots of great work on the front line. From, like I said, from youth work all the way from doing prevention, educating young people, providing counseling, to what we do to help provide positive interventions and address issues before they become dependence and addiction. We work with kids before they develop a problem. We're investing in the prevention. And we have people doing everything in between, from the treatment, recovery, and everything in between. So taking an event like your event, Heroes of Hope, you were able to come with that to our committee and instantly get support from all of our different organizations. We want to get involved with what you're doing. We want to come and show up at this event where there's going to be lots of families from the community so that they can see the different agencies and the different resources available to them.
Absolutely.
And get them plugged in.
It's very, very important. When we look at what's going on in Staten Island, it's true that people are feeling that way. I guess it's the lack of being able to get the word out of all these organizations that are here. That's why I love this show, and the reason why is because we want to be able to let everybody know that that is not true. There's organizations all over Staten Island that are willing to embrace, provide, refer, do whatever needs to be done to make a difference, not only in the individual's life, but also in the lives of the family that's a part of all these different things. When you think of this year, are you working on any specific initiatives with your organization that you want to share with us in reference to young people or I know that there was one time you brought the kids up to Congress, I believe it was, or to the governor's office or something. Why don't you share with us something in reference to that also?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's so much great work that all of our providers are doing. I hate to single out, UAU is doing great work, and I can talk about what we're doing at length. But definitely our leadership, I have to mention Adrian Abadi over at the Staten Island Partnership for Community Wellness, and then some of my other partners on the executive committee, Jacqueline Phyllis, and the great work they're doing over at YMCA Counseling Group, Carol Pasapia Cologne and Patricia Tooker and Everett, you had Everett on the show, and then also Michael McBeardy. But there's so many different people putting a lot of effort in. Also our partners over at Borough Hall, Dr. Jenny Mantello, the Health and Wellness Director, and President Otto, and Rose, the Education Director. So there's so many great programs doing so much great work. I definitely want the community to know about all of them, but UAU specifically, this year we have a lot of great initiatives. So you were talking about the CADCA conference up in Washington, D.C. and Capitol Hill Day, where we go up once a year, and we're able to have an audience with our representatives up in Congress. We met with Donovan and talked about the needs here in Staten Island and the work that we're doing, and asking for continued support from our government and from our elected officials, which we really do get.
Some of the youth get to go to these things?
Yeah, lots of youth from all over the country. It's representatives from all over the country and from all over the city. So our coalition didn't take any kids this year, but that's something I absolutely want to make sure that we do next year is make sure that we're personally sponsoring a group of students to go and represent our coalition. But there's lots of groups of kids from all over the city that get to go, which is great. Some other things that UAU is doing, we're part of an initiative to, there's just a big push on prevention, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So although we're trying to support people who currently have an issue with use. We're trying to support people who are currently struggling because we want to save lives. But on the prevention push, we're getting a lot more support in funding from government funding to support the early intervention services, which I personally think is really important.
Absolutely.
So if you look at some of the statistics, when I go around and I talk with teacher groups, I'll lead workshops at teacher professional development sessions, or I'll teach workshops for parent organizations and PTA organizations, and I talk about, we teach the evidence-based prevention curriculum to grades as young as 3rd grade. And some parents will say, well, what is a good age for me to start talking about drug use with my kids? This is a sensitive subject. How young is too young? And then you'll hear some other parents who understand that there really is no age that's too young. You just have to be appropriate in the language that you use.
Absolutely.
So when you look at the statistics, the average age of first experimentation in Staten Island, the average age that young people are starting to experiment with alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, prescription pills, it's 12, 13, 14 years old. It's younger than you might know or want to believe. And these are average ages. Some kids a little bit younger, some kids a little bit older. So you don't want to wait to start opening the conversation. It's up to a parent to decide how they want to have that conversation with the kid. The other statistics you'll hear is, among Staten Island parents who are surveyed, about only half of parents in Staten Island ever have a conversation directly with their kids about drug use. There's a lot of assumption that the kid understands how the family feels, and we assume that the kid knows that we're against, we don't want them drinking, or we don't want them experimenting with different things, but they haven't actually had the conversation. And a lot of those parents who haven't had the conversation, they say they would like to, but they don't really feel comfortable doing it. They don't know how to even start the conversation. So a lot of what we do is try to encourage the kids to know how to bring up that conversation. How can the kids bring up a conversation with their parents about use, and let them know the good things that they're learning in our prevention classes about the negative effects, and how they're fired up about their goals and what they want to accomplish, and how they know that they only want to make choices that's going to get them closer to their goals, and there's no room for experimenting. There's nothing healthy. There's no healthy age for a young person to be experimenting, which is another cultural, social norm around Staten Island, or cultural myth. As long as I know that my child is over at my friend's house, I know they're safe. I know they're drinking, but they're over in Joey's basement, And Joey's a good guy. He's a good family, and I know that they're drinking, but at least I know that they're somewhere safe. Or I know that my kids smoke some cigarettes every once in a while, but what's the harm in that? I used to smoke cigarettes when I was a kid. But we know that the science tells us that's not the truth. The younger a person is when they experiment, the more likely they are to develop a dependency or an addiction. So through our programs, we just want to educate parents and educate kids to know we don't want kids experimenting in middle school, or we don't want kids experimenting at a young age. There's no safe age. Their bodies and their minds are still developing well into their mid-20s. So we want to be pushing back that age of first experimentation. We want to be offering them, encouraging them to do other positive activities, and don't make it socially acceptable or minimize the harmful effects of use. And if a young person is experimenting, if they are in those early stages of use, we want to provide an intervention early and help them reduce their use and hopefully eventually quit their use. We don't want to normalize that behavior and minimize it. We want young people to not be using, and we want parents to have the comfort to have that conversation with their children and let them know how their family feels about it. We don't want you experimenting in this house. We have a no tolerance policy on that, and we want to support you in making sure that you're clear on how our family, what our family stance is on that, and just that simple conversation in a non-judgmental way. Keeping that door open. You always want to keep the door open for your kids to be able to come and talk with you about those things. But just having that conversation and clarifying some of those perspectives can have a really positive effect. Can do wonders.
It's pretty awesome. UAU is an awesome organization, and it's not just here in Staten Island. And you can reach out to the information you see on the screen. You heard a whole lot of information offered to you today, and we were able to bring that to you today on Heroes of Hope. That's exactly what this show is about, giving platforms for all the organizations that we're in partnership with to be able to make a difference. I'm going to give Stephen 60 seconds to share with the community right now in reference to a word of encouragement as we get ready to close.
I think if I could say one thing in parting is just everyone can play a positive role. There's a lot of things in the media, there's a lot of things going around, there's some very real stressors and a lot of scary things. Staten Island as a community, whatever area you're from, whatever shore you're from, whatever community you're from, we can all contribute something positive. So investing in prevention and investing in your kids, keep the conversation open, and reach out to your local, Pastor Joe. Check out the website and look for ways that you can get involved. And there's lots of supports out there to help you get good information, get good support to support your kids and your family.
We want to thank you for viewing Heroes of Hope today. Call the number that you see on the screen. God bless you.